You're listening to a Times Higher Education podcast.
Hi there, welcome to the latest campus podcast, in which we will share tips and tricks for protecting your mental health and boosting well-being from academics and university staff all over the world. I'm Miranda Prynne, campus editor, and joining me is
Eliza Compton, the deputy editor of Campus.
So, Eliza, mental health. This is a big problem in higher education right now, certainly in the UK and US. Since the pandemic, so 5 years ago now, we've really seen student mental health issues spiralling. There's a lot of different surveys and studies, all of which offer slightly different figures, but some show more than half of UK students reporting mental health concerns. And in the US, the figures are usually even higher. I've seen studies citing 60% or 2/3 of US students reporting mental health concerns. This is to a certain extent reflective of wider societal concerns about worsening mental health, particularly in adolescents and young people. But students are very vulnerable to certain stressors. A mind-blowing fact that emerged in a recent campus podcast is that the National Institutes of Health in the US consider attending a high-achieving university as a risk factor for mental illness. And all of this is rightly garnering a lot of attention. But what is often overlooked is the strain that this puts on academic and student support staff, whose mental health is also suffering.
Yes, Miranda, absolutely. The university faculty and staff across the board probably feel a bit like the meat in the sandwich at the moment, with longer working hours, more admin work, the lingering effects of COVID, as you mentioned, and also the need for them to provide support and services for those stressed students. I had a look at some of the stats for this, and a 2022 study of UK academics found that over 50% of staff suffer from depression, and almost 30% show the signs of burnout and feel emotionally drained from work every day. And a phrase that has come through in campus articles is compassion fatigue, which is when someone becomes overloaded with other people's stress, leading to physical and mental exhaustion. And one of our contributors described anxiety, sleepless nights, and an overwhelming sense of burnout, which really kind of gives you an idea of the kind of level of effects of mental health issues. I think it's easy to say to set boundaries and protect yourself, but when you care, like academics do, about your job, your colleagues, your research, your students, this is really difficult and ends up in overstretched staff. And that, in extreme cases, means graduate teaching assistants working up to 60 hours, or more than 60 hours per week. It's a really persistent problem, and one that predates the pandemic, but I think it's also fair to say that in the landscape that we work in today with technology and post-COVID work environment, that work really kind of bleeds into all your living spaces, so it's even harder to say no.
Yes, that lack of clear dividing lines between work and the rest of life, I think, is particularly problematic in professions that are fed by passion. So those jobs that people are really invested in, like academia. And beyond the ongoing problems that you've mentioned, such as compassion fatigue and overwork, there are now a multitude of new reasons for university staff to be feeling pretty stressed and depressed. In the UK, redundancies are sweeping across the sector and whole departments are closing in some instances. In the US, higher education is under attack from a very hostile government who is working hard to strip away funding in orders of magnitude that would have previously been unimaginable, and for many, destroying years of work. It would be very hard to remain cheerful in such circumstances. I do therefore want to make it clear that we are cognizant of the fact that These root causes of stress in academia can't be fixed through some quick-fire advice in a podcast. But really what we're aiming to do here is just provide a little insight into how your academic colleagues around the world are keeping themselves smiling, protecting themselves from overwhelm. What are their coping mechanisms, essentially? This is not designed to be wellness experts telling you how to overhaul your life to be the best version of yourself. It is fellow higher education professionals, many of whom will be facing similar challenges, sharing their personal strategies that work for them. So, let's hear what they have to say.
Hello, my name is Lixinski and I am Associate Dean International at the Faculty of Law and Justice, UNSW Sydney. My top tip for maintaining my own well-being and improving my own mental health in the workplace is something that takes a little bit of time. My dilemma is that in critical legal thinking, we tend to get very bogged down in what's wrong with the world, and we forget to think about what's great with the world. So I try to think on this, on being more grateful and exercising more gratitude as a means of maintaining my well-being. And a great way to do that is this experiment that researchers in positive psychology have documented, which is about writing letters or emails to people who mean a lot to us, explaining why and how they mean a lot to us. And I think that's a great way not only to make us happier, because it has a very marked impact on the happiness of the writer, but it also makes someone else happier. So that's my tip. Let's spread the love and make ourselves happier and make other people in higher education happier in the process.
Assalamu alaikum. I am Maha. I am a professor of practice at the Center for Learning and Teaching at the American University in Cairo in Egypt. My well-being is immediately improved when I take a walk out in nature. Also when I listen to music, when I dance, when I interact with pets and just dogs and cats and birds in general. But I also think there are some things we can do every evening that can help with well-being. During the pandemic, my daughter and I did gratitude journaling. So every night we would reflect on everything that we're grateful for that day. And it was a good reminder that even though the overall outlook wasn't great, and there was a lot of horrible things happening all around us and in our lives, there was still always 2 or 3 things that we could be grateful every single day. And this helped us notice the things that we're grateful for on a more regular basis and try to make sure that we do them or we have them in our lives. However, I do want to say that a lot of the things that affect our well-being are related to chronic systemic issues, and they're bigger than what can be solved with just a walk in nature or listening to music. And I think there are things that our countries, our institutions, the world around us, things that are happening around us that cause us deep moral injury because we find that our governments or our leaders are doing things that go against our values. And these things are not easy to fix. And what helps my well-being in these things is to have a community of people surrounding me, whether they are in my physical spaces or in my virtual spaces, but they are people who share similar values to me. And we support each other in community. We can be vulnerable with each other in these moments, and we can be allies to try and solve these problems long term.
Hello, I'm Doune Macdonald, an emeritus professor at the University of Queensland, having finished my terms as Pro Vice-Chancellor, Teaching and Learning, and Interim Deputy Vice-Chancellor. And I'm also a visiting professor at the University of Sydney. What an important time to consider the mental health and well-being of those in the higher education community. Our global context is particularly challenging, relating to ideologies, technologies, funding, diverse student populations, and our very social licence to operate is being questioned. I'll share 5 tips and a book I've found particularly helpful. Firstly, purpose. Be clear about what motivates you in your work and remind yourself of this important contribution you are making. People. Surround yourself with good colleagues who you can have a laugh with and also support you when needed. Escape. Find what absorbs you so fully that you get lost in it. Reading, gardening, pottery, whatever. Exercise. Regular physical activity, a little each day, is so important, though it's not always easy to carve out the time. Lists. Writing lists, for me, provides a sense of order and achievement. And finally, when the complexity and change demands seem overwhelming, the short allegory, Who Moved My Cheese, by Spencer Johnson, is both wise and comforting. All the best in your important work, and take care.
Hi, I'm Debbie Ryby and I'm an Associate Pro-Vice Chancellor for Postgraduate Research at Durham University. I'm also a Professor of Developmental Psychology. My top tip for maintaining my own well-being focuses on the importance of work-life balance. My husband and I are both academics and we always do our best to prioritise our weekends as work-free family time, even when things get really busy, especially juggling multiple roles within our jobs. There is nothing better than a refreshing walk with our cockapoo Lola up the beautiful Northumberland coast at the end of a busy week.
Hi, I'm Dr. Bhavna Shrestha, a research fellow at the Academy of Future Education, Sian Liverpool University, where I focus on social emotional learning. One of the ways I protect my mental well-being, even on the busiest days, is by starting my morning slowly and intentionally. It's easy to wake up and immediately jump into emails or tasks, but I have learned that how I begin my day sets the tone for everything that follows. No matter how hectic my schedule gets, I make space for a mindful morning, whether it's having a quiet cup of tea, journaling, or simply sitting with my thoughts before the day takes over. Another essential practice for me is prioritizing daily movement. It doesn't have to be an intense workout. Some days it's a walk in nature, stretching, or a few moments of deep breathing while standing in the sun also helps me sometimes. But making physical activity non-negotiable has helped me stay grounded, energized, and emotionally resilient in my work. I believe taking care of ourselves is not selfish, it's necessary. If we want to show up fully for our students, colleagues, and communities, we first need to show up for ourselves.
Hi, my name's Chris Wright. I work at De Montfort University as a senior lecturer and I run something called the Drawing Centre. Positive mental well-being is something that's been really important in my life, my lifestyle, my career paths in supporting students and members of staff. I try and install a series of mantras in my staff and students. Firstly being bravery. Don't be afraid. Let's try new things, be creative and explore. Try and be resilient. So never give up. Mistakes are going to happen, but we need to learn, assess and adapt from these mistakes. And actually, mistakes can lead to positive explorations and lead to new ideas and new creations, new thought processes. Togetherness. Try and be non-judgmental. We all learn differently. We're all different neurologically and we all develop at different speeds. But try and work as a team, as a learning community and help to share your knowledge with other people and apply that to your process. Positivity. Always assess the positives and try and silence the negatives. We often get intrusive thoughts and sometimes we suffer from imposter syndrome. But actually try and silence this and think there's always a way to achieve. It's positive mental attitude in the face of difficulties. Mindset. We can all improve, we can all develop our skills, we can all develop who we are. We can all adapt and respond to different situations and we can all overcome stresses. It's about being the best version of you. And on top of this, I believe taking regular breaks throughout the day, trying to get some fresh air, and going for walks quite frequently helps me in my daily routine to keep as positive as I can with my mental health.
My name is Chinmoy Chow. I'm an Associate Professor of Sleep and Wellbeing in the Faculty of Medicine and Health at the University of Sydney. I like to think of my well-being as a pendulum. It's constantly fluctuating due to all the life factors that can impact my mental and physical health. These can be anything from family issues, social stress, or academic pressures, even health scares that throw my emotions into turmoil. I've been fortunate enough to experience each one of these challenges firsthand, so I know how important it is to prioritize my well-being. When the pendulum swings too far one way, I need to find a balance. That means establishing a daily routine that keeps me grounded. It starts with a simple breakfast, roads with a banana and coffee, followed by a morning run outdoors. There's something about getting natural light in the morning that helps regulate my body clock and sets me up for a good night's sleep. Sleep is crucial to my well-being, as it's linked to health and overall quality of life. Regular exercise keeps me on track, and I make sure to balance cardio with strength training sessions throughout the week. Nutrition is also key. I focus on a balanced diet with plenty of carbs, proteins, and healthy fats. I've learned from my studies in biochemistry to appreciate the importance of eating well. But it's not just about the physical aspects of well-being. Mental health is just as important. My final safeguard is taking care of my psychological well-being. For me, coping with stress means being positive and focusing on finding solutions rather than getting bogged down by my problems. By staying focused, staying positive, and finding ways to manage stress, I can ride the ups and downs of life with confidence.
I'm Pippa Cattrall, and I teach history at the University of Westminster. I'm also trans, a member of a group who feel increasingly targeted, not least in light of current events in the US. So for me, it's doubly important to protect my mental health, tackle the daily trauma of existence, and work on releasing that queer joy that makes everything worthwhile. This means resisting the temptation to doom scroll or dwell on either mainstream or social media. At the same time, seeing other trans folk defiantly stating, "We will not be erased," is a little ray of hope and joy, as is every post from an ally affirming their solidarity. So are my activities outside the university as co-chair of Westminster LGBT+ Forum. Providing care and support for that community gives me as much joy and satisfaction as guiding and helping my students on their academic and personal journeys. And if I can round off a busy day at one of London's many fringe theatres, enjoying fantastic entertainment in the evening, then all the strains of the day simply slip away.
Hi, my name is Dr. Patrice So. I am an associate professor in learning and teaching at the University of Northampton and the director of the Center for the Advancement of Racial Equality. As an academic, my schedule can be quite demanding with teaching, research, publications, meetings, and conferences all competing for my time. However, maintaining my well-being is a priority, and I would like to share 2 key strategies that have really helped me. Firstly, I focus on creating quality time with my family. No matter how busy my schedule gets, I make it a point to spend meaningful moments with my wife and children. We have a cherished tradition on Friday movie nights, which give us a chance to unwind together. Whether it is a trip to the park, attending events, or simply enjoying a home-cooked meal, these moments are incredibly important for my mental well-being. This allows me to recharge emotionally and keep my sense of balance amongst the pressure of academic life. Secondly, I actively invest in my physical and spiritual well-being. I practice karate Shotokan several times a week with my daughter, which helps me to stay active while also strengthening our bond. Additionally, volunteering at my local church, where I often assist my priest during Eucharist services, has become a vital part of my routine. So this spiritual engagement provides me with a sense of peace, purpose, and connection to my community, which has been incredibly grounding. For me, maintaining well-being is about being intentional with my time and finding activities that bring both joy and balance. I encourage my colleagues in higher education to identify what truly recharges them and to protect that time as much as possible.
Hi, I'm Asta Cosmos. I'm an educational designer at Monash University in Australia, and I work in the interplay of learning and teaching and the equity and well-being space. And I'm also a trained mental health first aider. Here are some of the things that I tend to recommend for other people and try to internalize myself when it comes to the well-being space. So one thing that I commonly notice is we tend to stress and worry about things which we actually tend not to have any control over or have very limited control over. So I like to remind other people and myself of what is it that you actually have control over. Those are the things where you have influence. And what is it that's actually beyond that? You know, we can't change what someone 5 positions above us in our hierarchy might decide. We can't control what might happen in other countries. So reminding ourselves of that is quite important. I also like to remind people and myself that it's okay to build something that's kind of just borderline acceptable for the first iteration of something, because we can learn from that first iteration. And sometimes it's necessary to do that so you can get the learnings and actually get to something good. So working in stages rather than trying to make something perfect, being aware of what's actually within our sphere of control. And I also like to remind myself that the work is still going to be there come Monday morning, and it doesn't need my attention on it right now. So those are some tips that I think can be quite helpful. And if you can sneak in a little bit of just something that makes life fun now and again, even if it's just singing and dancing in the supermarket, then go for it.
Well, that's great advice from Asta. If I'm feeling down, you'll find me singing and dancing in my local Lidl next time I'm picking up some groceries. On a more serious note, thank you so much to everyone who contributed their personal insights for that. We realise it is a really, really tough time for many people working in higher education, and we do therefore recognise that it takes quite a lot to put yourself out there and share what's working for you. Eliza, was there anything that really stood out for you among the advice?
Yes, actually, there really was. I mean, lists, daylight exercise and a routine, I thought sort of overall came through. I really liked what Chris Wright said about being brave and trying new things, which kind of feeds into a resource that I'm working on at the moment for campus about circles of influence. And it feels to me like bravery extends the area over which you feel like you have a bit of control in your immediate environment, which could perhaps go some way to easing stress, rather than feeling like the world is very large and completely beyond our control.
Yeah, absolutely. And actually it ties in with what Lucas said at the very beginning, just that expressing your, I guess, gratitude and praise for others, and that's a kind of pay it forward theory. And I do think that's hugely powerful, the power of one individual to actually spread, whether it's goodwill or a feeling of resilience or a feeling that everything will be okay. You know, Maha Bali pointed to a similar thing, saying that she surrounds herself with people who kind of revive her belief, I suppose, in the good of the world. And I have to say, speaking personally, that's something I've always found very helpful when the news cycle or anything else is really tough to confront. We actually have a whole collection addressing how universities and indeed the individuals working within them can prioritise mental health and really try and create a culture of care, compassion and resilience across campuses at a time when it's dearly needed. So if you'd like more insight on this subject, do head over to campus. You will find all of that at www.timeshighereducation.com/campus. If you've enjoyed the podcast, please like and subscribe, and we will be back with you in a couple of weeks. Thank you.
You're listening to a Times Higher Education podcast.